welcome to our 43rd program, believe it or not, on the Library Telescope program. Tonight we've got a really fun topic. I've got Grace Beaudoin. I already messed that up. Anyway, we've got a great program on International Observe the Moon Night. Grace is from the Lunar and Planetary Institute in Houston. But before she gets started, I'd like to give you just a little bit of a background in case you are not familiar with the Library Telescope program. It was actually started in New Hampshire in roughly 2008, and it's expanded amazingly to 1,000+ locations, 7-something countries throughout the world. You can see what I have in front of me is a world map. If you go to librarytelescope.org, you can literally find this clickable map that you can go into your state or province or into, you happen to be in Europe, into the country that we know that is participating, and find the library location that you might be able to pick up a telescope or binoculars, whatever we have in that particular location. We are simply a bunch of volunteers. We've been working together for several years. Tom supports the Facebook page. He does a really terrific job. He's been cranking this up. In fact, it's probably well above the 6,700 followers right now. And I support the website, and which has a world map. And our objectives are really very simple: to grow the program and share best practices. And so we get together once a month, and a lot of us, we just figure out how to do things better, how to make things work, how to repair the telescopes. I know with our libraries here, which I live in the Metro St. Louis area, it's very, very popular. The last time I talked to one of my libraries, they had 160 people waiting on the wait list for just one particular library system. And that's just one of many. And so we know that the people love what we got going on here. If you check the front page of our librarytelescope.org, and I think maybe in the Facebook page, Tom Lynch posts that there as well, you'll find there's some really great maps. One of our members with the Astronomical League publishes these maps. What's really nice about them is they're fairly simple. You can actually find stuff, and it's obviously specific to the month that you're dealing with. So one right here is for mid-August, for example. You can go out, and there's also usually a couple extra feature types of maps on there. So there's something that's going on during the month that you might like to find a particular map about. And so he does a great job. You'll find, I think, for the most part, those of you who have used the library telescope, that the telescope itself operates pretty easy, but you might get frustrated trying to find out where things are in the sky. So these maps will definitely help you there. So tonight we have International Observe the Moon Night. We have not worked out what we're going to do next month, which we have our webinar scheduled for September 18th. We will get that figured out. But if you look back, go on the front page of librarytelescope.org. We have an entire section full of webinars that have been going on for many years, and everything from, you can see here in the past, the top 10 questions asked about astronomers. By the way, it's been very popular lately. Common maintenance issues with the telescope, that's also been pretty popular. We've had Globe at Night, we had solar eclipse, we've had summer reading programs, we have various guests on here, and so we encourage you to join us once a month to find out what's really going on with the library telescope. And of course, visit our Facebook page, which Tom does a great job of that, and our website, which we try to keep up with what we know about. All right, so we will be, Grace will be talking about what's going on with her International Observe the Moon Night program through the Lunar and Planetary Institute. We will be holding questions to the end. We do have people on Zoom and on Facebook, so if you happen to be on Facebook, just post them in the questions area, the comments area, and we will try to catch them up at the end. And it basically, if you happen to be on Zoom, just put them in the chat area. So we'll try to capture this. We'll try to make sure we have enough time to answer all the questions we possibly can. So Grace, I'm going to stop share, and I'll let you take over the screen here, and we'll go from there. So we're really glad to have you once again, Grace. She's been doing this for a couple of years, and we really appreciate that.
Thanks so much for having me. Okay, let me bring my slides up.
Perfect. I see it perfect. Thank you.
Okay, well, so hi everyone. It's my pleasure to join you and to share some information about International Observe the Moon Night. But before I get into that, I just want to share a little bit of about myself. So we will hop to the next slide. Okay, so my name is Grace Beaudoin. I'm a science engagement specialist for the University Space Research Association, at the Lunar and Planetary Institute in Houston, Texas. But I'm also the National Partnerships Coordinator for a NASA program that's called International Observe the Moon Night. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So I am presenting on behalf of the International Observe the Moon Night Coordinating Committee, which is composed of a number of different people. Some of them are shown in this picture here. It's a great team of people that come from different institutions and different backgrounds. And together we organize and try to spread the word about this NASA event. So I do want to acknowledge NASA's Goddard Solar System Exploration Division and the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter mission, because those are the two primary funders for this really great program. All right, so moving on to the main topic, what is International Observe the Moon Night? So if you've never heard of it before, it's been going on for 15 years. This is our 15th anniversary. It began in 2009 when the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter reached its orbit around the moon. And it's been orbiting around the moon since and collecting amazing data, taking amazing images of the surface of the moon. But when it first arrived in 2009, some of the folks who worked at NASA wanted to have a celebration of its arrival. And so they had an Observe the Moon Night. And it was so much fun and so well liked that they expanded it, and it's really, really grown. So every year, we invite people from around the world to learn about lunar science and exploration, to make observations, and to honor personal and cultural connections to the moon. So this is an annual opportunity. It's free of charge. Anyone, anywhere can participate. And you can share updates with your community about what's happening in lunar science, or a lot of other ways to engage, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so there's lots of stuff, exciting stuff happening in lunar science right now. This year, International Observe the Moon Night is taking place in about 3 weeks, September 14th. But there's a longer period of time over which you can participate in the program. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the overarching goals. So our slogan is everyone, everywhere, every year. And the overall goals of the program are to unite people across the globe in a celebration of lunar observation, science, and exploration. So how can we, as a coordinating committee on behalf of NASA, how can we make that happen? So we try to provide information, an online platform, and resources that can help communities around the world and individuals to raise awareness of lunar science, empower people to learn more about the moon, facilitate sharing of stories, art, images, inspire continued observation of the moon and sky, and support all people who are interested in participating. So I've got some great images here from last year's International Observe the Moon Night. One is at a museum. They've got kids working on measuring craters. So they had an educational program for their International Observe the Moon Night celebration. This image on the right is from Ho Chi Minh City, from their amateur astronomy club, where they put together a big star party for International Observe the Moon Night. Okay, so I mentioned that it started in 2009, but it has grown a lot in the last 15 years. So last year, we had close to 5,000 registrants across all 7 continents, because researchers down in Antarctica also participated. We had people from 123 different countries, and based on the survey data that hosts provided, saying that, I hosted an event and there were 50 people. So that was one registered event, but 50 participants. So we estimate that we had about 900,000 participants last year, and we want to keep growing. So we really encourage you to take part and to register, and hopefully our 2024 numbers will just continue to grow. So Oh, okay, that's all I wanted to say for that slide. Okay, so it's coming up and it's not on the same day every year. So I mentioned this year, it is happening September 14th. But what it is, it's always scheduled for a Saturday in either September or October. And we always try to pick a date when the moon is near its first quarter phase, because that provides some of the best viewing conditions, because there's the shadow or the terminator between the night and day side of the moon. And that really helps to bring out the topography, the rugged lunar terrain. And you can see features in a lot more detail. So this year, September 14th is a little bit more on the gibbous side. The phase of the moon is a little bit more than half, or first quarter, I should say. But we've got some really great features to look at this year. And if you are new to observing the moon, it's a really great way to get started in making celestial observations. You can see it even in places where there's a lot of light pollution, and this phase of the moon will be easy to see in the evening sky. It'll be up pretty early, so you don't have to wait until late at night. And once you are more advanced and you want to maybe help your audiences look at other objects in the sky, this is a great image because up here in the background, that's Saturn. So this was taken during the 2019 International Observe the Moon Night event. Okay, so how do you actually participate in the International Observe the Moon Night? Let's get into that. Well, it's a really, really flexible program. We want people to feel a sense of ownership of this event. So we try to provide a structure, resources, tools to help people connect and learn and celebrate. But we really want individuals and groups to be able to plan an event and make it their own. So there's no right or wrong way to host an event. You can have small private gatherings of family or friends. You could have large public programs for hundreds or thousands of visitors and everything in between. We also offer an individual registration. So if you are just an individual person and you want to sign up to be part of the global community that is going to observe and celebrate the moon, sign up as an individual and you'll still be counted among all the participants worldwide. If you're interested in planning an event, we have a lot of tips online about how to host an event. We have activities for lots of different ages of learners. So these are some of our highlights from past events where you can see kids working on like art and craft projects, adult learning programs where you involve expert speakers and content specialists. I love this one. They're illustrating astronaut helmets and learning about upcoming missions. Or lots of folks want to plan, and we really strongly encourage, lots of folks want to plan observation events, star parties, where you can incorporate other kinds of activities. So here are just some of our great photos of people at different star parties from around the world: France, Venezuela, the US, Italy, and lots more. And even some really big events like this one in Spain. So you can host public or private. You can have in-person or virtual, and these can be of any size. They don't have to include night sky viewing. They do not have to include telescopes. We just ask that you plan something that will serve yourself and your community. And I mentioned that, okay, so the official date is September 14th. So we have some resources that are specifically designed for what the moon will look like on that night. We also have live streams of the moon that will be available on September 14th and a NASA TV broadcast about the moon on that night. But you can register to take part in the program for a full week before or week after. So it's really a 14-day window over which you could participate. So if for some reason you couldn't plan an event on the weekend of September 14th, You could host one during the week or weekend before or after and still sign up and be a part of the official program. All right, so what we want to encourage is that it's a really flexible program and it can look very different depending on what it is you want to achieve with your event. Okay, so who should register? Everyone. We really encourage everyone to register. And that's, like I said, whether you're participating by organizing and hosting an event of any size or type, or if you're observing on your own, you can take part in this program. So to register, you would go to this website. I've got the link up here, but you'd go to moon.nasa.gov/observe. And you would be greeted with this homepage. And so this is the 2024 participation. So these are folks who've already registered. Some of these are going to be individual observers. Some are private events where you won't be able to see the information, but there will be a pin marking the general area. And then others are public events. So if you don't want to host an event, but you want to attend an event, you can go find other people who are hosting public events in your area and take part in those. So far we have 1,500 events and observers who've signed up already. And there's a lot more that you can do on the website. But once you get here, if you're interested, you can register and then you'll have the option to decide, is your event public or private, and you can share more information about it. And then we've got a lot more on the website that can help you out with whatever it is you might be doing. So down at the bottom of the page and also under these tabs at the top, you'll see a lot more info about the program. If you're hosting, we've got a bunch of different guides and resources to help you. No matter how you're participating, we've also got things to make it easier and more effective. And then we have lots of resources and extra information. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about some of those things. So like I said, lots of variety, lots of resources available on the website. You can find all kinds of different things. And one of the things that we ask everyone who participates in International Observe the Moon Night, we ask for your feedback afterward. So if there's something that you can't find or that you think is missing, please tell us. We're always trying to grow the collection of what we offer. Okay, so some of the resources I'm going to highlight. When you go onto the page, you'll see resources like this. And this one, for instance, is in our multimedia section. So these are all save the date, printable or digital save the date postcards in different languages. So if you had an event, you could use these to spread the word. We also have a whole list of hands-on activities that are organized for learners of different ages and abilities. So you can find those. We have an event planning guide, as well as a couple weeks ago, there was a webinar for the Night Sky Network that had, it was a whole webinar about planning an event. And that recording is available on the website. So if you want to plan an event and watch the recording, you can go check that out. We have a moon viewing guide. We have I mentioned this on the night of, so on September 14th, there will be a NASA Plus, which is NASA's new streaming platform. There will be a broadcast there. There will be telescopic live streams of the moon. So if you don't have access to a telescope, or if maybe you have clouds, you can still share a live stream of the moon. Those will be available on September 14th. We also have participation certificates. We have promotional materials like press releases and things that you can modify for your specific group or needs. We have evaluation materials. So if you are hosting an event and you want to be able to evaluate your audiences, we have some preset materials you can use. We have image galleries and a lot more. And one of the things that I really want to highlight, it's our most popular resource, and this year we've updated it, is our moon maps. So we always have these traditional printable PDF moon maps that show exactly what the moon will look like on the night of International Observed Moon Night. And on the images are features that are of interest. So highlighted features that then you can look for either on your own or with your audience. And this is a multi-page document, really high quality images and information. And there's details about each of these features. But this year, we're excited to introduce that we also have an interactive browser-based digital moon map. So I just have a still image over here, but you can click on each of these features and get a zoomed in view, get information about them, and it even links to videos where you can learn more. So this is a really cool tool, and it would be accessible on a mobile device as well as on a computer screen. Oh, and I should mention, both of these kinds of resources, the digital and the printable maps, are available for views from the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. Okay, so my calls to action for all of you, we hope that you'll connect and participate. So the first thing to do, if you haven't already, is register. And you can modify your registration if you want to sign up as an individual, but then later you decide you want to host a party. You can modify your registration at any time. It's not binding, it's free. This is just a way to take part in a global celebration. We hope that you'll also connect. So you can sign up to receive our newsletters. They don't go out very often, so don't worry, we won't flood your inbox. You can follow International Observe the Moon Night on social media using the hashtag Observe the Moon, and that's on X and Facebook and Instagram and wherever else. You can find more resources. Please provide feedback if anything comes to mind as you participate, and we hope you'll stay tuned. So this is an annual event. We are always updating our features. We're going to have lunar science highlights being added to the webpage soon. And you can even start planning ahead for the next year's International Observe the Moon Night, which will be on October 4th of 2025. There are more resources here. I'll leave this up for just a second because I know this will be recorded. So you could pause it and check out some more of these resources. And I will end with saying, remember, you are invited. It's a celebration of the moon in whatever way it resonates with you. And we hope that you'll take part on or around September 14th. Thank you for your time.
Wow, Grace, that is, you guys have, from last year even, it's like, wow, you've really expanded this. This is quite remarkable. It's like, whoa, this is so impressive, you know? And
It's really growing fast. It's awesome.
My gosh, you guys are like a rocket ship here. This is really amazing. So if you've got some questions, post them into our Zoom or Facebook, and we'll try to catch up. First off, I got to tell you is that when I go out, we do a lot of programs on basically with using the library telescope. The moon is such a terrific target for the library telescope. It's perfect, right? It almost is too bright, even with a 4.5-inch little telescope, because if you get near a full moon, it's like blowing them out. And people love to take photos of the moon. But what I notice is that they tend to look at the moon, they look for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and they look away. But there's really a lot of features on there. And I was just playing with your little interactive map over there. So it's not just the night of, you can actually look at every day prior to, and then I was looking at your little clickable thing. Is if you have a unaided eye, you can get one view. If you have a binoculars or telescope, you can get, that is amazing that you guys have done that. That is awesome.
Yeah, we're really excited. I will, if it's all right.
Yeah, no, please. Yeah,
I'll
go for it. Oh, that is really cool. All right.
Yeah, I'll demo it real quick. But yeah, so we've got, lunar seas. So you could totally, make these out with the unaided eye. You can click on these and learn more about them.
Nice.
It shows you what you can see. And let's see. So we're going to go to, actually, let's look at telescopic treats. So then you can look up close at, for instance, let me go back. Let's look at, okay, so these you would need a telescope to view, but this one, the domes, can learn a little bit more about them. So you'll need a telescope to view. And if you scroll down, there's
the Gridways and domes are lunar volcanoes.
A little video that will take you on a 3D tour to see this feature in better detail. So
Whoa.
it's really cool.
I need to put a seatbelt on here. This is pretty good.
It's really
off the
cool.
lights. I feel like I'm flying over this thing. This is good. This is
So like you could totally imagine, if you're not able to see the moon, it doesn't mean you couldn't have a really interactive experience if you've got access to a projector screen or a TV screen where you can be showing an audience some of these features, or in addition to actual telescope views, which would be incredible.
So I noticed that one of your images, you had children laying out measuring the size of moon craters. What was that they were, was that like a big printed something they were measuring? Because that would be kind of cool. I don't think, well, certainly I don't understand how big some of these things are and how tall they are really. So do you have any background behind that particular exercise?
So I'm not sure exactly what exercise they were having the kids do, but that image is of the south pole of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And that area is of extreme interest right now because it's where the Artemis missions are going to be landing their astronauts in the coming years. So my guess is that they were measuring the craters and looking at their different sizes and probably talking about like where the astronauts could land. Because I have some other pictures from that activity, and a bunch of the kids had like little helmets and were like illustrating astronaut suits. So that one is definitely about like tying lunar observations to upcoming lunar exploration. And there's so much happening right now in terms of upcoming missions. It's an exciting time to be doing any event about the moon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they were measuring the craters and maybe calculating how big they were, but those look like pretty little kids, so probably not.
Yeah, that's cool. So one of our guests on here just posted a comment. Is there a partial eclipse coming up here sometime in late September or a little bit later? He was thinking, I think coming up maybe later September. Is that right? Uh, yeah, I think anyway. I thought that's what he just said.
Yeah, there is one coming up. I think it's mid-month or something. So a little bit after the 14th, I think.
Yeah,
You're-
17th, 18th, I think is what he was saying, right?
Yeah, I just saw that 17th and 18th. Yes.
Right, cool.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. And man, if that had been on a Saturday, we would have wanted to pick that.
Can't you just reschedule the eclipse to be a little earlier? Is that all right? So this is for those who are uninitiated that may be watching this video later. And by the way, if you've got a question, please post them in there. Can we only see one side of the moon?
Yeah, from Earth, we can only see the near side of the moon. Important to note, it's not light side and dark side, it's near side and far side.
Right.
So we're always looking at the near side of the moon, but that side gets both sunshine and shadow.
Yeah.
But the far side's always pointed away. We have not telescopes, we have satellites and things that can view it because they go behind it. But from Earth, we only see one face of the moon.
And so one of the questions that I commonly get is, when is the best time to look at the moon? And a lot of times people think it's when it's full. Is that true?
Well, so I mean, maybe it's just a matter of preference.
Okay.
But I think it's best when the terminator or the shadow is passing somewhere across the face of the moon. So for International Observe the Moon Night, we picked the first quarter phase of the moon when the face of the moon is about halfway illuminated. We do that because it's easier to see it in the evening, so you don't have to stay up late or get up early. It rises in the early evening and it stays up into the night. And because that shadow passes across it, it helps to bring out the features on the surface of the moon. You can actually see the depth of craters, you can see the colors better. I love a big full moon, but it does make it harder to see it
Yeah,
because it's so bright, it kind of washes itself out.
yeah. It's actually kind of fun to watch that Terminator move across the face of the moon over several nights because it sort of reveals stuff, right? You almost like, okay, there's something coming up, there's an X or whatever it is that you're looking for on the moon. And sometimes I know that I talked with a lunar scientist one time and I asked her what her day was like. And she said, I've been looking at a picture of the moon. And I said, oh, that's interesting. She says, yeah, I've been trying to determine if there's a crater or a mountain I'm looking at. Because when you're looking straight down, it's really hard to tell the difference. And she did,
Yeah.
but there's so much going on with the moon when if you really get past a quick look and, I'm looking for the old man in the moon, old lady in the moon, or the bunny in the moon, there's really a lot to see, right?
Yeah, there's so much to see. And especially if you have binoculars or access to a telescope, you can see so much more. But even if you don't have access to those things, everything that NASA provides and other amazing organizations, but everything NASA provides it's freely available to the public. You can go find it, you can print it off, you can use it for any of your events or for yourself. And pretty much everything, the moon is the most well studied and well photographed. And there's really incredible imagery that you can go find, even if you don't have access to equipment to see it yourself.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of stuff lately about the supermoon. And so what does that mean? That just means what, it's close? Or what's going on with supermoon? It's just really close when it's a supermoon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah, the moon's orbit isn't perfectly circular, so it does pass a little bit closer. And then the moon can appear larger when it is near the horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can. It's an optical illusion, but it does really trick your brain into feeling like the moon is massive when it's low in the sky.
It's kind of like a magic trick, right? It's just like, how to do that again? It
Yeah.
got here when it got a little higher, kind of thing. Yeah. All right. So do we have any? We had one question. When is it visible? I'm not sure. Michael, if you want to just clarify what you meant by that question, we'll try to answer it for you. So I'm not sure if that was just to a stream of discussion at the time or what it was. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly the context of that particular question, unless you know, Grace.
Okay. Well, I can just add, obviously it'll depend on your location and your time zone, but I know for me in the US in Central Time, the moon will be rising on International Observe the Moon Night in the afternoon at around 5:30.
Okay.
So for instance, like I'm doing an event with my local university and we're going to start at 5 to kind of get people comfortable. We've got other activities. And then as it gets darker and the moon gets higher in the sky by 7, 8 p.m., we'll have nice views of the moon. So check your specific location and time zone, but it should be an early afternoon or late afternoon, early evening moonrise.
Well, I think this sounds a lot of fun. It's just one of those things. It's really just fun to get out and enjoy it. Hopefully the weather's good, that we don't have this stupid cloud thing, what seems to be happening. Every time something's good going on, we have a cloud issue here, right? So
I tell you, yeah,
exactly, that's right. But the good thing is the moon is bright enough, even with a little wisp of clouds, it'll still pop through. You can look at it with telescopes and things like that. So Grace, I think we're going to wrap up here. Oh, that's the answer. Yeah. So apparently you answered the question. So the person.
Okay. Okay.
Great. So thank you so much for taking time with us. It's always a pleasure to see you. Please, if you slow down, this is like going rocket ship through all the stuff you guys do. Quite amazing. I'm really going to take a look at some of those resources. We actually have a big event that night on the moon, observe the moon night. So this will be an opportunity for us to take a look at what you got going on. And let's put those counters up there, right? Let's get some more places, more countries.
Exactly. Yes. More places, more countries. Give us feedback and use any and all materials. Everything is, it's meant to be shared. So spread it far and wide.
Well, Grace, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you, and we'll hope we'll see you next year. It's once again a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.